Hello and welcome to the all-new episode of 2Spooky4Me. Woogada boogada. And today we'll be talking about a Mario CreepyPasta titled Mario Kart The Death Shell. Sounds cliched. I've played every single Mario Kart game, and I'll admit, some were better than others, and some were pretty much the same. All of them were the same. I was only missing one copy, Mario Kart DS. I wanted that damn game so bad that it made me horny. But it was the time of the month where I had to use my money on other important things like food. So one day I decided to take a walk after being cooped up all day inside my house, playing Mario Kart. And that's when I found it. There was a celebration going on, a ceremony at the high school near where I live. Sounds very vague. They had a big open field. There were races going on, things for kids like bounce houses and food lots of it. Okay, I decided to check it out since I had nothing better to do. So I got welcomed by some people working at the high school that day, and I started to walk towards the tables with the food on them when I stepped on something. It was at the bottom of a grassy hill, a black DS light. It was facing the road and sidewalk, so it looked like somebody just threw it out of their car or dropped it by accident. My lucky day. Anyways, I picked it up and checked to see if it had any games in it, and it did. A copy of Mario Kart DS in all caps. Now you know my fear. I couldn't believe my luck. I inserted the game back in and opened the DS up, only to see that the top screen was cracked right in the middle, like how iPhones look like when you drop and crack them, or any phone. So it seemed pretty much unusable. It was unusable. I didn't mind. I already had my own DS. I slipped the system into my pocket and began to walk home. It was pretty cloudy. I hated these days. They always made me feel morbid and dark, and oh my gosh, I must be emo or something. What is my name? Shadow the Hedgehog? Anyways, after about walking 10 minutes, I arrived back in my home and went inside. I removed my coat and proceeded to throw the DS in the trash. You could use it for spare parts, man. Sell it on Amazon. Oh, rip someone off. But keep the game and put it in my own DS. I started my system up, and then a picture of Mario popped up in the little box on the game selection screen. It was a face shot of Mario, but something was odd about it. He had no eyes, just holes in the middle of his head. I took this as a glitch of some sorts, and then I proceeded to the game. Yup, a glitch, just like all these other random coincidences that always seem to just happen to all these idiots. Good old creepypastas. Anyways, the title screen was normal, and so was my first race. This was a blast. It was a bunch of Mario Kart maps poured in one game. Great advertisement, bro. You work for Nintendo? Anyways, and I was playing it for about half an hour before something very odd happened. Because Mario having eyes, not having eyes in his face was not odd at all, apparently. I was in 7th place because I sucked. Knowing I would just catch up to the other NPCs eventually, I drove at a steady pace. When I got an item box, it was a blue shell. The shell that gets the person that's in first place and makes their life suck. But of course, the author did not know that experience because he sucked at the game. I mean, he got 7th place against CPUs. Oh, except there was something odd about this shell. It wasn't blue. It was black. Now you know my fear. I just assumed it was an item added to this version of the game because I didn't have the internet apparently, though I did write the story. So I used it without thinking. The black shell flew out of my cart and pursued it to the person that was in first, which was Mario. I was playing as Luigi at the time. Just saying. I mean, it has no importance to the story, but okay. The shell just nailed Mario, and instead of a normal Mario shout, I heard violent screaming as I passed him. That's when I saw why. It was only for a split second, but as I passed Mario, I saw that he had fallen out of his cart, lying on the ground. He was deeply breathing, and I noticed that there were spikes in his chest. The kind of spikes are on the blue shell. Blood oozing out of him at a steady pace, and his whole body looked burned. His hat was still on fire, but his skin was red and mangled, and he had bits and pieces of skin that were still there, but I could mostly see his flesh. Hey, his flesh. Hey, remember when the DS was able to display that much amazing graphics at such a high quality and detail? I don't. I just took it as a trick of the eyes. An oddly specific trick of the eyes. But I noticed something odd about the board that tells you which place you're in. Mario was last, and it showed his face with no eyes. Oogie spell spooky ghost. No, this is Mario Kart DS. As I neared the end of my second lap, I noticed Mario was still there, so I stopped my car to get a better look. He was seriously dead compared to just being dead. What I saw before was true. As I stared in horror at the scene, I just let the other characters pass me. I just decided to quit the race and put down the game. I came back to the game the next day, so you didn't put it down. Ooh, that's more spooky than your whole story. And I decided to try and race again. I noticed Mario was not a playable character anymore. I continued. Whenever I was in 7th place, I got the item no matter what. I kept using it, and it would always kill the character in first, and I kept getting shocked. At no point did I decide to, buy a normal copy of Mario Kart DS. I noticed them. I noticed this item could never be used on me because I was special. Whoever was in 7th never got the item, but I always did. It seemed that I was the only one who could get the item. It always happened the same way. Burned to a crisp, spikes in the chest, blood oozing out slowly. All the characters I used it on lost their eyes on the scoreboard and were no longer playable. I was curious to see what would happen if I ran out of characters, so I continued the process until the only character left was Luigi, the character I always use. I started a quick race to see what would happen, and to my surprise, the race started normally, except there wasn't any other racers, just me. I was playing the course Luigi circuit, but I noticed two odd things. The sky was a pitch black color, there wasn't any item boxes, and there wasn't any sound. I just started to race to I just started to race to see what would happen. That wasn't written properly. As I turned the corner on my final lap, I saw the finish line, except characters were blocking it. All of the characters I used the shell on, they were standing with spikes in their chest, burned to a crisp. Yeah, I get the point, of blood forming a blood on their plate. I stopped my cart to see what would happen. The scene was creeping me the hell out. They just stood there, menacingly, staring at me. No, not at Luigi. At the screen. At me! None of them had eyes. Text appeared at the bottom of the screen. Can you feel the horror of that text? It's so scary. Just gives me chills thinking about it. Anyways, it appeared to be what all the dead characters were saying. Why would you do this to us? You are a monster. That ain't a zombie. That's a monster. I just had to say it. I stared at the screen in horror. Were they talking to me? You must suffer the way we have suffered, and you will from now on until the end of time. They all proceeded to pull out the black shells and aimed it right at Luigi, so they probably weren't talking at you. You conceited mofo. This is going to be fun. There's so many ways. You gotta think about how many fanfics just started with that same sentence, bro. Anyways, they threw the shells at Luigi, and I was given a morbid animation of Luigi exploding and his limbs flying everywhere. Fire blazed on his car, and poor Luigi just sat in a pile of his own limbs and blood. The image just suddenly stayed like that. I stared in shock at it for about 5 minutes until I managed to close the DS and throw it out the window. Pretty dramatic, but okay, let's move along. I thought it was all over, but I was dead wrong. Now on the 7th day of every week, I have a dream. A dream where I can't see anything. Just feel. I feel spikes getting impaled in my chest many times, like I'm being stabbed. I am then lit on fire, just left there. No one comes to help me. But if you can't see anything, then how do you know you're lit on fire? Any. But, like, how does he know that nobody showed up? Anyways, I will always try and stay awake that seventh day. But somehow, I always fall asleep no matter what I do. I need help. Please, if you find a black DS lying in the grass somewhere, anywhere, with a Mario Kart game inside of it, whatever you do, don't pick it up. Well, well, this was the most cliche thing we have read so far. And we read the Telltale story, so I think we know what we're talking about. I mean, it wasn't written poorly. There was like not even that many like grammatic issues. So yeah, but the ending is just oh black dead shells, and now I get hit every seventh day, which seventh is cooler than six. Well, that's all I can say. This has been me, Robot, and this is the Too Spooky Show, and I'm signing out.